think I wasted my time telling all of them that when they sitting around, you the prey, I'm the prey, we the prey, we have value. But I'm telling you, when I heard that conversation, I knew this is not a situation that I should walk away from. Heifer, you should run. This is the little walk I would make. Me and my wagon, needed the wagon. And I'm really lucky. Today is, it's a work day, but we were called out because of the snow. It came down at an inopportune time where they didn't have enough time to clean the streets and let the buses travel those side streets. But yeah, that was my view of the golf course. I want to tell you, people golf in the rain, in the cold. I don't get it. It's, I don't know. It's not my kind of sport. To me, it's just walking around with a stick. But here I come to my little apartment, my little rug, and here we are. Like I said, it's pretty much cleaned out. Get a little light on the situation. Just have a couple odds and ends, my vacuum, whatever. But yeah, I called this my little rabbit hole. It felt so cozy to me. Over here, I did my countertops with the whole, you know how you put marble top, or not marble, forgive me. You put the stick and peel stuff. I did all of that to kind of spruce it up a little bit, but it was a 2-bedroom. I used this room for storage and guest bathroom sometimes. Had my clothes here. And then this bedroom was the one I actually occupied. It looks so much smaller now, but it really was my rabbit hole. There's a part of me that's actually kind of sad to leave it. That is it. There's like a real quickety quick tour. Maybe 800 some odd feet, my little pantry. The washer and dryer set, you know. I've already cleaned out the fridge. I ain't touching the ice, honey. Let them do that. And then the stove. I did a pretty good job of cleaning it. Is it perfect? No. Was it perfect when I move in? No. Okay, so let's set you up and have a chat. So, like I said, this is my little rabbit hole. I guess I tend to name every place I move to, and this being the rabbit hole, this is where I felt so comforted and so cozy. The history behind me moving in here was my then husband and I had reached a point where I just knew I wanted out of the marriage. I had reserved the apartment. COVID had hit. This is 2020. Everything was just up in arms, and you know, it's just kind of confusing times, I would say. But what I was absolutely clear on was I needed less drama. You know, I mean, 2020 was dramatic enough. You had the riots of the walks, the pieces, the administration at that. It was all just so crazy. And I'm the kind of person where, you know, you can't control the outside world, right? It's going to be crazy, it's going to be chaos, but what you should have is peace in your home. And when my husband was the antithesis of that, I just thought, I can do better than this. I've got to do better than this. It was beginning to affect my sleep, my mood, you know, all the things that matter and that come with peaceful mindset. And so when I moved here into my rabbit hole, it was quiet, it was calm, peaceful. I do live on the bottom floor, but my upstairs neighbors weren't too bad. Now, the ones behind me, I don't know what they smoke, but it smelled horrible. And if I did laundry and left those doors open, then I would smell it more. But overall, it was a cool little calm place. There were no uproars and fits and tantrums, and you know, I'm one of those people, if we're having a disagreement, let's sit down, let's talk about it, let's work through it. You know, you might be right about some stuff, I might be right about some stuff, but at the end of the day, we probably just want the same thing. We want to get along, right? I mean, you do have people who don't want to really get along, but in the case of my husband's and my marriage, I just kind of thought maybe that was it. And I had to accept that that is not a need for him. That peace and that calm was not of particular importance for him. So once I accepted that, then we just kind of, we had no choice really. Oops, I'm sorry, y'all. Get you set up. We had no choice really but to move on. And I do not regret it. I think that I was scared at first because, you know, I'm a woman of a particular age. I hadn't lived alone in a lot of years, not since I was in college. I'd always been married. You know, I've spent most of my adult life married. And then, of course, I've been a mom. So, you know, even when my marriage wasn't intact, my daughter's father and I weren't together, I still had my daughter with me, right? So I just didn't know the silence of living alone. I love it. I do. I love it. I didn't know the joys of just coming home and knowing, you know, what to expect and how it's going to be. And I love it too. It's a beautiful thing. You just don't realize how important your peace is until it's been disrupted, until it's been taken away or something. And let me not say taken away, because I stayed for far too long in that marriage. I pretty much gave my peace away, you know? So at the first onset of act of foolism, I should have exited, but I didn't. You know, how should I really, first of all, it's very important to be careful of the process before you get married. Because for me, once I got married, this is a covenant, don't want to break it. I'm going to do all the things I can. I'm going to talk it out, work it out. Oh, you don't want to go to therapy. Okay, well, let's figure out, hey, I read this book, I read that. You don't want to talk about that either. Okay, well, how can we, you know, oh my goodness, I was working like crazy trying to salvage it. And I just had to come to the realization that although he wanted the marriage in chaos. I wanted the marriage, but I couldn't accept the chaos. So we were just never going to work out. He wanted the confusion and the such, and that's a piece of ice that dropped. It was just never going to work that way for me, for us, and for we. You know, so, yeah, this is where, oh my gosh, this is where I actually discovered the real YouTube. Excuse me, I'm getting over a cold, but yeah, so to be clear, I'd already been on YouTube for, you know, a few years. There are all these songs and, you know, you sing the alphabet and you dance a certain way. So as a teacher, I had been on YouTube and seen, you know, several videos and played them for kids and all of that. Well, of course, when I log on, it's under my teacher account. So it's giving me more kid videos, more kid songs, more kid things. And so I kind of thought that's what YouTube was. But then when I come home, like I said, to put the stick and peels on my countertops and all of that, where did I go? I went to YouTube. So my then husband and I pretty much shared an account. He did a lot of how-to on automotives, where I did how-tos on cars. So how-tos on homes and things and furniture and refurbishing furnitures and things like that. So I genuinely thought YouTube is a how-to thing. I had no idea that it was more self-healing and things like that until I ran across a TED Talks. The TED Talks was at work. And so I thought, that was pretty good. Came home, looked up a TED Talk, and then saw that. And then it started changing, I guess, my algorithm. And he was like, what is all this other stuff I'm seeing? Like, what is all of this? I was like, oh, this is another reason I knew it was about time to go. But I was like, oh, this is a pretty good video about, you know, feeling strong and good about yourself. And let's watch it together. He didn't want to do that. But what he was letting me know was that in my watching that, it was changing his algorithm. I didn't know the term for the whole YouTube thing then, but it was kind of changing his algorithm. And so he was like, well, why don't you get your own account? You know, my own, yeah, kind of like I have one for work. Oh, okay, yeah. So then I got my own YouTube account and started looking at all the things that, you know, I liked. And as I did that, it started sending me more and more videos. So here is where I started watching those videos because I have more time, right? I'm single, I've got that time for doing that. And as I'm moving about cleaning and things like that, that's when I kind of like it to play in the background. And I would start listening and hearing different things and different video women, mostly about makeup. It started kind of filtering in makeup and things. So my mind was still a little bit on the how-tos. And then I don't remember how R.C. Blakes came to me. But this is also during the time it was R.C. Blakes. You have him on one end, and then you have another man who's now deceased on the other end. And that, oh no, I skipped a piece. No, let me go back. Okay, so although I moved into this apartment, my ex and I are still kind of in that communicating phase. I would still go kind of over there for a barbecue or something. And a lot of times when I'd go, a lot of his friends would be there. And some of the things that they were saying, like once they get good and liquored up, and they always did, some of the things they started saying just sound crazy or just sound distasteful of women, to the point that I literally was sitting there like, how can he even stand these dudes? Because in my mind, I'm thinking, you know how the saying goes, show me 5 of your friends and I'll tell you who you are, kind of thing. I might have messed that up, but you... Okay, so as they're talking, I'm kind of looking and thinking, ding dong, I think I heard him say something about high value, something or another. Ding dong. And so one of the men there actually said the name of the guy who's now deceased. I'm going to, let him rest in his peace. But he said that name, and I was like, never heard of that. No sooner than they had said that, I'm ready to take a breather. I get a phone call from my girlfriend. I'm walking. I was like, they over here talking about some guy named, and I said the name, and she said, oh, girl, that's a whole mess. And so something in me knew not to click his videos because, why would I pay him to be so negative and disparaging against women? But I remember sitting there thinking, when I went back to that for just a little while, because I soon left, that I don't think these men like women. I don't think they do. As they sit around here, you the prize, we the prize, I'm the prize, I'm a high value man, and kicking that all around to each other. Where are the women to kind of balance that? And so if what my ex was saying was true, one man hollers and talks real disrespectfully to his woman. Another man has been known to shake his woman or things, all the things that you know that we should know are just not okay. And I thought, well, what did he have in mind for me? Or what was he? Because he had started coming into a season of being more anxious and rah-rah and loud. And, it would be such that when I'd go home, I didn't know what I was coming home to. What mood are you going to, where are you going to be? What mood are you about to be on? And I insultingly, and I can admit that I insultingly said, it feels like he's on his cycle. You know how, women can have sometimes emotional peaks and valleys. That's what it kind of reminded me of. And I couldn't understand that. But as I listened to these men, you the bride, we the bride, I'm the bride, these women out here, yeah, they, not you, of course they're gonna say that because I'm sitting there, not you, you got it going on yourself, but for the most part, these women out here, they doing this, they doing that, and the third, and we the bride, they just want everything, and shoot, I'm a high value man too, what about me, it's more to it than 6 figures, or I can reduce a woman to cleaning, I can pay for a maid, you go on Groupon and get that. Like they were really going ham. I mean, and to me, sure, yeah, technically speaking, you could go on Groupon. You could get a ready-made or Merry Maids or whatever it's called to come clean your house. Great. You could hire a babysitter, to watch your kids. You could do that too. Yeah. All those things are things that could be paid for. But then there are those intangibles. At the end of the day, when you come home and you want peace, you can't pay a woman to give you peace. When you want that love and acceptance, you can't pay a woman. You can pay her to hang out with you. You can even pay her to, part her ankles. But you can't pay her for that peace and that love and that security that comes from a sincere woman of value. But whatever. You think I wasted my time telling all of them that when they sitting around, you the pray, I'm the pray, we the pray, we have value. But I'm telling you, when I heard that conversation, I knew this is not a situation that I should walk away from. Heifer, you should run. And so I did. And I came right back here to where? This little rabbit hole. And I don't regret it at all. There's, just like I said, that you can't pay a woman for that kind of peace and that security. This is peaceful for me. And at first I was very afraid. Let me tell you, like I said, hadn't lived alone. So living in an apartment, you never know who's watching you. You know, you kind of got to live with your head on a swivel. You want to pay attention to what's happening, whose cars, who's too close, why you park this close. And it really wasn't that bad at all. Not for me. I'm not saying forsake your security. I'm not saying don't pay attention. But the little bit I gave up in terms of the comfort of knowing that, yep, there's a man here and anyone watching knows that there's a man here and he's not likely to, it paled in comparison to the peace that I have of living on my own, of knowing the security of coming to a place where I'm accepted and I'm valued and it's calm and it's zen. And you know, people, namaste. No, that is not to be underestimated. It's a beautiful thing. I don't take it for granted. But yeah, let me wrap this up. This is just my little empty apartment tour. And again, like I said, lots of good memories here, but I'm looking forward to even more. This again is where I discovered YouTube, where I started watching it for more than how-tos, but for actual entertainment, for perspectives. Oh yeah, that's where I was going with that. So after hearing them talk about the deceased fella, I was wondering how and who I could find who does not feel that way. Are there men out there who are encouraging? Are there men who are aware that women are of value too? And I may have even keyed that in. Like, you know, I heard so much about these high value men and I keyed in something about women. Well, oddly enough, it filtered in some messiness too. Like, oh, she's got her nails done and she's got this, that, and the third, but there's more to it than that. Sure, you can look good on the outside, you know, and have your shell together, but as I kept going through the algorithm, I stumbled across R.C. Blake's and some of his teachings and preachings. And again, I'd be doing my laundry or, you know, cleaning dishes, washing dishes, doing things. And as he's playing in the background, I'm thinking, yep, I was convicted. I was convicted on a lot of the things. Looking back on my marriage, it was like, yeah, there were red flags. And I turned them yellow or greened them. Oh, I was already involved, or oh, we can work through this together. It was a lot to that, but you know, moving on, moving up. Let's stop right there.
I'm telling you that there ain't no other way. Pack your bags and then you will go away. I'm not gonna be begging you to stay. Said maybe if you asked me yesterday, I would handle this differently. Things are different, I'm a new me. That's not gonna happen. That's not gonna happen. That's not gonna happen. So even if you're asking,